going on? My name is Liam Jenkins and welcome to another video here on Philly Sports Network. It's been a while since I've just sat down and had a little talk with you guys. I mean, we have This Week in Philadelphia Sports where someone wanted to name that spot on my bedroom wall. We're in self-isolation. The quarantine man bun's going. Sorry in advance. So, while we don't have the green screen at the office around, if someone wants to name that little spot, feel free. Whoever comes up with the best name, I'll literally draw a label next to it. So there's plenty of prizes to play for here. But normally most of these videos have a lot of editing, a lot of post-production and that sort of thing. And that's all fine and I love doing it. But A, my MacBook is pretty much toasted and I'm waiting on a new computer to be delivered. And B, sometimes it's just nice to sit in front of a camera and have a chat with you guys. It's almost like face to face, only I can't see yours. That's a struggle. Now, before we get into the nitty gritty of this video, I did just want to say again a massive thank you to anyone who's subscribed right now, to anyone who's watching this video, taking time out of your day. What is a very chaotic and stressful period for everyone. It means a lot that you're taking time to support our channel. If you haven't subscribed yet, we would love to have you as part of our community. And I would say that in an isolation period where we're not able to go out and socialise, we're not able to see our friends, our Discord server that is filled with Eagles fans, that is filled with like-minded people wanting to talk about the Birds, it's a great haven to come in, meet new people, play video games with, so there'll be a link down there below. Also, one of the biggest Eagles fans I've ever had the pleasure to know through social media, Monty G, has been admitted to hospital with coronavirus. Now, he's out of intensive care as far as I'm aware. His girlfriend got it as well, but she's now fine paying his bills for the moment. And what my man E-Rock has done is actually make a GoFundMe for us to try and get some money in his direction, help him with those bills and that kind of thing. I mean, I love Monty G. Every week he posts a song. He's got the Eagles hat with the flappy wings. The guy's an absolute legend, and I'm really hoping from me and everyone at Philly Sports Network that he pulls through. If you've got a few spare dollars, I'm sure he and his family will be really appreciative of that. If not, just a quick message on social media wishing him the best, because the guy's an absolute legend and I really, really want to see it. I can't imagine an Eagles season without those raps, alright? So let's just make sure we're all rooting for Monty and sending prayers his way. And today, I really just wanted to talk about the NFL draft. We're obviously 1 week away now. There's a lot of hype, a lot of excitement, a lot of pressure, I guess, around this NFL draft. And I think the reality of it is beginning to set in. The free agency period is done. The Eagles, outside of maybe a couple of moves after the draft, which they tend to make, are largely going to be set in their ways. Javon Hargrave and Darius Slay are the headline signings. Will Park returning to Philadelphia, the city he grew up in. That's obviously captured the hearts of everyone in the city. And now you move forward with the players that you've brought back. Guys like Jalen Mills, like Rodney McLeod, who are going to be here for one more season. That's your nucleus now. And now's the exciting part. This is the time where you add new players, the infusion of youth, something that has been begged by fans for quite some time now. After seeing the roster get older and older, and names like Jason Peters and Darren Sproles just refuse to go anywhere and sign new deals, it's been a very different offseason for Howie Roseman, and that in itself got my mind ticking. Even Malcolm Jenkins, for that matter, that was probably the more shocking decision, right? That Jenkins, who had been a staple of this team ever since he joined, to have withstood every coaching change ever, no, he's no more. The Eagles have moved on and decided to get younger, and that, to me, raised an interesting point, because in 2 of the last 3 years, the term historic draft class has been thrown around, and the Eagles have woefully missed. You can argue last year as well to a degree with J.J. Arcega-Whiteside, but I want to leave that separate for now. 2017, the Eagles come out of a season with Darren Sproles, Ryan Matthews and Wendell Smallwood. And I feel sorry for Ryan Matthews, man. I love that guy. I thought he was a brilliant running back that was just, he's the Sam Bradford of running backs. Great potential, just hampered by injury. Very clear early on that wasn't going to be the backfield to take this Eagles team to glory. So it was clear they needed a running back. And that 2017 class was loaded. It is gush-worthy. I mean, you've got Christian McCaffrey, who is now the highest paid running back in the NFL, was my ultimate draft crush. You've then got Dalvin Cook a little bit further down, guys like Tariq Cohen, Joe Mixon, Marlon Mack. There were so many good running backs. The Eagles came away with Donnell Pumphrey. He was waived a year later because he got a phantom injury as a rookie in September and he was cut. Spent the year on IR, cut a year later. Then he returned and then was cut again. And I mean, I understood the pick, right? I mean, Donnell Pumphrey coming out of college was absolutely prolific. You can't argue with it on the surface that he was baby Sproles. The Eagles knew he was getting up there in age. They try and draft his development. That is the Howie mentality, right? It goes across the board. But then in preseason, he's being thrown around like a rag doll and he's made to look like a child out there. Whereas the difference with Darren Sproles is he's got that thick base, he's got that nasty mentality. He was an incredible pass protector, a very willing pass blocker. You weren't getting that with Pumphrey. There was no way you're getting that with Pumphrey. So that sucked, all right? Seeing guys like Marlon Mack. And I understand that hindsight is 2020, because if they had gone for a different running back, well, then maybe they wouldn't have signed LeGarrette Blount. Maybe they wouldn't have gone to Super Bowl 52. And maybe Miles Sanders wouldn't be an Eagle. I fully understand that. But you can't ignore the fact that in that moment, at that draft class, that pick, to be cut off a team within a year, and then again, it's not good. Then you get 2019, okay? We're not talking J.J. Arcega-Whiteside. This class was salivating when it came to the defensive line. I mean, I had the Eagles mock into Christian Wilkins. I like Dexter Lawrence. You've obviously got Bosa, who blew up. Max Crosby had a great year on the defensive end spectrum. Like, there was a lot of good names along this defensive line, and many expected the Eagles to sign a defensive tackle. They traded for Hassan Ridgeway, which I get, not a bad move, it made sense, but at defensive end, Sharif Miller. And again, this isn't a knock on Sharif Miller. I'm assuming a lot of you are going to be Penn State fans or familiar with the program because of how local you are. He's not a bad player, but my concern coming out was that he was very one-dimensional. And if he can't win with power, he just kind of gets washed out of the play. There's no pass rushing moves. There's no second wind sort of thing. If he can't win with a ball rush, it's game over. And he vastly got overshadowed by Gross Matos, who is now obviously looking to be a first-round pick in this year's draft. So it's a very interesting landscape. Now, I don't want to knock Sharif Miller for spending the entire rookie campaign out of the picture. But what I will say is that if you've got someone like Deshaun Hall outshining him in preseason, and you've picked Miller on the back of selecting Josh Sweat in that same round, who also did nothing as a rookie, outside of that one blowout loss to the Saints where he played most of his snaps, it's not boding well for depth. Now, Sweat took a step forward in 2019. Maybe we see the same from Sharif Miller in 2020, especially with a new defensive line coach. But again, the reality was it was a bad pick in terms of instant hits. And you're not expecting an instant hit in the 4th round, but to get absolutely nothing out of it, it is worrying. Now, the draft, for the most part, is an absolute roulette wheel. You put your chips on 17 and you just hope to God that the ball lands on black. Like, it's that simple. There's no way that any NFL GM is going to hit on 100% of players or get 3 Pro Bowlers out of every draft class. It just doesn't work like that, and that's fine. But now we've got ourselves a 3rd historic draft class at wide receiver, and we've been through this. We know the tiers of guys that we've got. In tier 1, you've obviously got Jerry Jeudy, CeeDee Lamb, Henry Luggs. At around the 20 range, you've got Justin Jefferson, Denzel Mims. But a bit below that, you've got Jalen Reagor, Brandon Ayuk, KJ Hamler. There are so many names. Then you get into the middle rounds, guys like Van Jefferson, and a plethora of slot receivers who I seem to have my heart set on at this point. If the Eagles are going to do this and they're going to take a wide receiver, I'm not saying because you've missed on Sharif Miller, because you missed on Donnell Pumphrey, don't take a Devin Duvernay. What I'm saying is that if you're going to take a wide receiver in the heart of that draft, it better be the guy. If you're going to go anywhere that is not wide receiver, which for the record, I don't think they're doing, you can look at their draft meetings. I put a video out the other day. The fact they've met with 13 wide receivers, where not even half of that amount of players at any other position, says to me they want a wide out at pick 21, or whether it's moving up or dropping down or whatever, I can see wide receiver being the first pick. So I'm not saying, right, contrast that by going all in, because obviously if that fails, then you've reached and it's a bust, and there's even more negativity on Howie Roseman's shoulders. What I am saying is that in a year where you don't have pre-draft meetings in a normal fashion, where virtual pro days are a thing, where you're so reliant on what the tape tells you, where analytics go out the window, and for the first time ever, Howie Roseman's on his own. There's no Joe Douglas, there's no Andrew Berry, it's just Howie, it's Andy Weidel, and it's all the knowledge he's got from both of those guys to go out and put a draft class together, to build that big board, to evaluate that talent. Now, if he's going to go out there and he's going to go all in on a prospect, it better be the right guy. If he's going to do it in round 4, it better be the right guy. This isn't another historic class where the Eagles can afford to get complacent, let talent pass them by, and then trade up for Donnell Pumphrey. It happened with Easton Stick last year in the Chargers. They leapfrogged them for a quarterback. Go back to 2017. You take a flyer on Sidney Jones, who misses his rookie year, and you're just hoping that some of that potential remains, that he can turn into that star. A first-round talent drops to the second. You're praying he can live up to those expectations, and he unfortunately hasn't. Rasul Douglas, they double-dipped at cornerback that year. A guy that I love was like a front office dream and a coaching misfit. Like, he is not a Jim Schwartz cornerback. That's becoming rapidly clear now. There cannot be that disconnect. There cannot afford to be that almost gap in information. This has to be the year the Eagles go all in. And frankly, it doesn't matter who it is. If it's Mims, Rager, Jefferson, if they trade up, if they trade down, it doesn't matter. It just has to be the guy. And it has to be damn certain that he's not going to redshirt his rookie year, learning the playbook from all three positions, and he's not going to sit on the sideline twiddling his thumbs while the Eagles are craving production and would rather turn to Deontay Burnett and Robert Davis. If they're gonna draft at least one receiver, it has to be the guy. They cannot afford to let another historic draft class pass them by. That's about as fired up as I've got in quite some time. It felt good to get some pent-up frustration out of my system. Guys, if you're new around here, if you like the video, please hit the like button. Drop your comments on this down below. And as always, it'd be great if you could subscribe. And please, if you've got a few minutes of time today, just go send Monty G some love on Twitter. I'll drop the Just Giving page and his Twitter down below. From myself, Liam Jenkins, that was my whatever this was. And we'll see you soon.